full name, please?
My name is Scott Hallett.
And you've prepared a statement for the Commission dated the 5th of September 2016?
Yeah, that's correct.
Your Honour, I tender the statement. I take it it's true what you say in the statement?
Yes, Your Honour.
It'll become Exhibit 4325. Mr. Hallett, I understand you'd like to read the statement for the Royal Commission?
Yeah, if that's okay.
If you could do that, please, and you can begin in paragraph 2.
Okay. My name is Scott Hallett, and I'm 51 years old. I was born in Hornsby, and my birth mother at the time was only 14 years old. I was taken from her without her knowledge and given to my adopted family. I have an older sister from my adopted family who was also adopted. In 1967, my parents divorced and my sister and I moved to Newcastle with my mother. While my mother was a Catholic, she was not overly religious, and we did not attend church when I was young. I recall going to church occasionally with my grandmother, Nan, but most of my memories of attending church are through school. In 1970, when I was 4 years old, I began school at Gateshead Primary School, the local state school. Shortly afterwards, we moved to the Junction, a suburb of Newcastle near Marietta. I changed schools and completed kindergarten at St Joseph's Catholic Primary School. When I started at St Joseph's, I was required to attend Mass along with all the other kids. Church services were held at St Joseph's Catholic Church, which was located on the same grounds as the school. At the time, the parish priest was Father Cotter. In 1975, I was in 5th class. Excuse me. I was in 5th class. I recall that my teacher was Mr. Hallinan. Mr. Hallinan was very tall and was a basketball player. He encouraged myself and another boy, Jared McDonald, to get involved in basketball. Jared and I became best friends. During 1975, Jared and I became altar boys. I was 9 years old. Most of the Year 5 boys were altar boys. It was just something that nearly everybody did. It was a privilege to be one. And at the time, my mother was single and was not well. I would hang around the school most days kicking a ball or just hanging out as I had nothing better to do. I began to spend a lot of time in the church. I performed altar boy duties nearly every morning and also on Sundays when asked by Father Cotter. I also went to altar boy practice every Tuesday and Thursday afternoon after school. Usually there were 4 or 5 boys at practice, and the practice was held at St Joseph's Church. When I began altar boy duties, Father Cotter was still parish priest. I recall he did not talk very much and was not very friendly. He seemed to me to be very regal, and I remember thinking that he was the next best thing to God. During 75, Father Cotter was promoted to a position where he supervised other priests. I think he became a Monsignor. Another priest, Father Vincent Ryan, took over Father Cotter's duties at St Joseph's Church. Father Ryan was far more talkative and interactive with me and the other boys than Monsignor Cotter. Father Ryan used to play a game with us at all boy practice. He would chase us around the church and into a cupboard in the vestry where we stored our robes. On the days when I hung around after school when there was no altar boy practice, I would often spend time with Father Ryan. At altar boy practice, Father Ryan also used to give us altar wine. The more we went to altar boy practice, the more we got to drink. We never drank very much, but at my young age it was enough to affect me. On one occasion at altar boy practice, Father Ryan chased me into the cupboard. He then came into the cupboard and started to tickle me around the waist and fondle my genitals on the outside of my clothing. He was saying something to me, but I don't recall what it was. Over the course of the next few months, Father Ryan regularly chased me into the cupboard at altar boy practice and fondled my genitals. I also recall that on one occasion, Father Ryan chased another altar boy around the practice and fondled my genitals. I also recall that on one occasion, and he took off crying. Father Ryan gave him a hard time about leaving, and the boy did not attend another altar boy practice to my memory. Around the middle of winter in 1975, I was at... Excuse me.
It's all right. Just take your time.
Around the middle of winter in 1975, I was at all the boy practice with the other boys. I was sitting in the main area of the vestry on the kitchen bench, and the other boys were sitting or standing nearby. I don't recall exactly how it started, but Father Ryan said something like, "I've got something to show you." I then saw Father Ryan undo his trousers and pull his penis out through his fly. He then began to masturbate in front of us. His penis became erect, and after a short time he came towards us and said, "Who wants to have a go?" He encouraged us to masturbate his penis. He also said, "If you spit in your hand, it makes it slide good." I masturbated him, and so did Jared McDonald and one of the other boys. After we had a turn, Father Ryan continued to masturbate himself until I saw white stuff coming out of his penis and land on the floor. I now know that he ejaculated. Father Ryan then told us to pull our pants down. I was sitting next to Jared McDonald and another boy. We pulled our pants down. Father Ryan then approached Jared first and put his mouth over Jared's penis and performed oral sex on him. He then moved on to the next boy and did the same thing. I don't recall if he went on to any other boys, but he got to me last and also put my penis in his mouth. I remember I had an erection. I don't recall if he said anything during this, except after he had finished, he said, "Don't tell anyone, this is our little secret." Father Ryan then encouraged us boys to have anal sex with each other. I remember he told one of the boys to get on his hands and knees on the floor. The boy had his pants off. Father Ryan then got Jared to try to penetrate this boy. Father Ryan was telling Jared what to do. I saw Jared try to put his penis, which was erect, into the boy's bottom from behind. It didn't work, so they stopped. Then Father Ryan got Jared to try to penetrate me. I was also on my hands and knees, and I felt Jared's penis push against my backside, but it didn't go inside. Father Ryan then got us to reverse so that I tried to penetrate Jared. Father Ryan was telling me what to do. I tried to put my penis into Jared's bottom. I pushed a couple of times, but it didn't work, so I stopped and backed away. I saw I had poo on the end of my penis, and everybody started to laugh and call out, "Poo knob, poo knob." Father Ryan laughed along with the others. Father Ryan then got behind Jared and put his erect penis in between Jared's bum cheeks. He thrust a few times before he moved back and pulled his pants up. Father Ryan said again, "Don't tell anybody, this is our little secret." At the time, I didn't know that what Father Ryan was doing was wrong. I was a young boy. I knew nothing about sex, and to me it was a game, and we were just having fun. At some point, I think near the end of 1975, I discussed the incidents with the other boys from all the boy practice, and we agreed to tell our parents about what Father Ryan had been doing to us. I couldn't tell my mother what had happened, so I decided to tell Mr. Hallett about Father Ryan, as he had become a sort of father figure to me. At the time I made my statement to the police in 1995, I was very emotional, upset, and at that time I had not recalled the conversation with Mr. Hallett and Sister Margaret Ann. I told Mr. Hallett that Father Ryan had been doing something to us, and I think he picked up on exactly what I meant because he began asking me questions about what had happened. I don't think I gave him any details, and he did not seem shocked. I think Mr. Hallinan must have told Sister Margaret Ann, the school principal, because she came into the classroom to talk to us. I don't remember if this was the same day or the next day. When Sister Margaret